Let's talk today about this classic 1971 film Two-Lane Blacktop. I've been wanting to do a review of it for obvious reasons, the Beach Boys connection there with Dennis Wilson starring in it, but I haven't done it. I watched this film the first time about 10 years ago, and I wanted to see it again to be able to make a decent review of it. I tried to watch it a few years back again, but I think I fell asleep midway through. And a friend was here a few nights back and she hadn't seen it, so we watched it. And it's a great movie. It's a sort of a cult classic directed by Monty Hellman, who had a weird filmography. He did direct a bunch of films, but not too many. He died sadly a few years back, but most of his films are not that highly acclaimed. But this one still gets praised a lot, and I think rightfully so. The way I fell asleep a few years back watching this speaks something of the film. It's advertised, even in the back cover over here, as genre action. So it's well, it's funny. There is a few cool stunts in it though. It's a very European type of a film, not your traditional Hollywood film, even though it describes rural America very beautifully. Casting choices of James Taylor and Dennis Wilson are very interesting. I neither had acting experience previously, James Taylor being a famous singer-songwriter and Dennis Wilson the drummer and songwriter and singer as well from the Beach Boys. They both fit their roles perfectly. It's hard to even think about anybody else playing their roles because they basically just embody the roles so well. And Warren Oates, being kind of like the old guy in the cast, does a great job with his role. The man that he plays is, he thinks he's much more relevant than what he actually is, and he's kind of he tries to buddy up with these younger dudes and thinks he's he thinks that he belongs to the gang, but obviously he's an outsider. And the movie itself is it's just about these guys and this girl played by Laurie Bird, who hang out, drive around, and try to make a quick buck with race driving or track racing. But the movie itself doesn't really have any exciting racing scenes. There's one at the end and some in the middle and some in the beginning, but that's it pretty much. Then it's mostly just driving, and there's, even though you have two basically rock stars in it, starring in it, there's very little music. It's in a lot of ways very similar to Easy Rider, but Easy Rider uses a lot more prominently music in it. This movie doesn't really have a score. There are some scenes that, for example, The Doors is playing, but you only hear music when somebody is playing, listening to radio, basically, in a car or in a bar or something like that. It's filled with humor, even though it's not a comedy, and the humor is very dry. And if you don't have the right mood while you're watching this, you're gonna miss a lot. You're gonna fall asleep, like I did. So you need to have a right mood for it. But like I said, it's a cult classic. Everybody gives stellar performances. You even have Harry Dean Stanton there doing a little cameo, very funny scene. And he was just one of the greats. I think Harry Dean Stanton is probably my favorite actor of all time. At least he's like in the top 3. He's in so many favorite movies of mine. And he always gave a stellar performance here as well. There's a very cool stunt near the end. It's probably halfway through. With there's like this accident thing when cars are blocking the road and the two cars are driving very high speed, and it's shot with a wide-angle lens from next to the road, and the cars go around the road, and the other one especially goes like from the right side of the cars blocking the road, extremely high speed. They must have had like speed of 100 miles or something, or even more. It looks crazy, and you know, so there are some cool stunts in it But Dennis Wilson, come on, what a presence. He really should have done more acting. His character is the most easygoing in this. Darren Oates plays a guy that's very depressed. He's drinking all the time. He's changing shirts all the time, and he's kind of like a comedic character, but he's very depressed. He has even this big jar or whatever, this little pocket bottle thing, but it's like huge, and he's filling that all the time and drinking and sweating and all. James Taylor's character, very depressed. Doesn't talk much. But Dennis Wilson and Laurie Bird's character, the girl, she is also just looking for her place. She's a lot younger than the rest of the men and kind of lost in her life. Plays a very traditional type of hitchhiking character. But Dennis Wilson is just laughing around, taking it chill, and just being himself, really. And he would have been a great character actor. And I really wish that he would have acted more. He could have been a very great film star. And apparently he was very bored during the movie. He enjoyed the process, but what I've read, because he was just so extreme in his behavior, he was so energetic, he was so bored with the way of filmmaking when you have to just wait around so much, and he couldn't stand it, and that's why he didn't act anymore after this one, which is a shame. But they all look cool. I love their denim styles and how James Taylor's and Dennis Wilson's clothing fit their Chevy car color and that style. They just look like they belong together. And I don't know much about cars, but you can just see that Dennis was a drag racer. He plays a mechanic over here, and you can just see when he's doing stuff with the car, he actually knows what he's doing. So he's not just an actor pretending to be a mechanic. He actually knows the stuff. If you haven't seen it, you really need to check it out. It's a very interesting movie. It might be hard to find. And it's wrongfully advertised a lot of times as an action flick, which is not. It's not that, especially if you are a Beach Boys fan or James Taylor fan, but film fans as well. If you know European cinema, you're gonna love this. It's very different stylistically from your typical Hollywood driving film. Like I mentioned, Easy Rider, it has some similarities to it, but it's not as easily digestible. So I understand why it is kind of buried. It's not talked about that much. But the ending is very, in its anticlimactic way, I think it's very beautiful, the way the film burns at the end. I don't want to spoil. And well, there's not really that much to spoil about this film, because it's not really about anything. It's just this hanging around film with these guys and this hitchhiker. And that's pretty much it. There's not really, there's not much to talk about it in that sense, because it's a very poetic film. It's not your typical plot-centric movie. But aesthetically, it's very beautiful, beautifully shot on film. And I love the way they used real locations. It's not a studio shot film. It's shot on location, mostly outdoors. And yep, I mean, what else can I say about it? It's very sad what happened to Dennis Wilson and Laurie Bird. They both died very young. It's great to see them so youthful and happy, looking good in this film. And yeah, it's a time like this, the Polaroid time capsule, I think, capture of time that's long gone. But I think you're gonna love it. If you are a movie fan or a rock music fan, Dennis Wilson fan, you're gonna love it. So check it out. Two-Lane Blacktop, great 1971 film, highly underrated. Check it out. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.